Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 1, Episode 10 of Trails of Cold Steel Northern War. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, Lavi ends up waking up and she's back in her hometown. She's in her village, and her mom, as well as not just her, everyone, is taken care of because we find out what happened to her, how she was even able to make it to the village. Because it does seem like, kind of my theory was like, I didn't know if Talion actually shot her or not, but I figured it had to be the situation of, it was purely for the situation of letting her get away. And even his words being based, what was it? Let's see, the curse of a hero versus the blood of a hero type of situation. So which one will kind of come out on top? It's almost kind of like which wolf inside of herself is she going to feed? Is she going to give into like the curse and the heavy burden of a hero, or will she kind of find her way? And jumping ahead a little bit, I think we can say that she found her way. I mean, everyone throughout the arcs has had their situation, because I'm trying to think, like, has anyone had like bad, I mean, because everyone, like, every arc has dealt with a coup to some extent. Obviously Richard led the coup in Liberal. Obviously there was backing situation to that. Mayor Croix was doing his thing in the Crossbell arc. Then you had this civil war in Arabonia led by Duke Cayenne. So every group just kind of had to deal with a coup in its own right. I don't think I thought about that until just now, but obviously even makes an even deeper parallel between her and, because obviously Reen and her have gone back home, and their home villages have been attacked because of them and other extenuating circumstances. Like, well, Reen was there in Ymir, so it's because, that and Alphen was there as well. So that, like I said, there was some contributing factors to Ymir getting attacked specifically by the. Well, I'm trying to remember now. God, I just played through 2. I don't remember now. Was it the Northern Jaegers? It was the Northern Jaegers that attacked Ymir, wasn't it? Because they're the ones that were, like, working for Duke Alberea specifically. Because Nidhogg was, I think, probably contracted by the Noble Alliance in general. So it wasn't the Northern Jaegers, but they more specifically answered to Duke Alberea. Anyway, tangents and all that aside. So it's even interesting that some Northern Jaegers would come and attack Lavi's village because they were trying to track her down. It's like, hey, she's a traitor. We need to find her. We need to confirm that she's actually dead. But, like, it wasn't just like she just ended up to the village. She made it on her own. It's like, no, she had, she was found by a priest and a sister from a local church. They were patching her up. She got away from them, got a drive to her village where her mom, as well as Derek, who's actually a former Northern Jaeger himself. And her mom is pleading with Derek, like, hey, can you convince her to back away from this? But Derek's kind of like, no, he can't. Because I think for him, it's like she believes this is where she believes she belongs. Who am I? Even I have my circumstances of why I left. She needs to find answers on her own. She can't just, I think he probably also knew the answer to, one, like, why Vlad left the Northern Jaegers and came here. It's like, that's why Derek actually came to this village, because he was like, right, I wanted to try to find those answers, but every time he would ask Vlad about it, Vlad would kind of, like, evade the answer and just say, like, hey, we'll find those answers together. And at this point, Derek feels like he still didn't have the answers, and I think Lavi ends up discovering those answers, because the fact is, it's something her mom says to her where it's like, for one, it's like, right, you want to rush back out there, but how much can you do in the condition you're in right now? And I think that's the frustrating thing, because for Lavi, it's like, after everything she's been through, to end up back at the village, because I wonder, is this really her first time being fully back since becoming a Northern Jaeger? And her mom has so much regret of, like, I wish I'd stopped the back then when she wanted to enlist. But for her, she feels like she did everything in spite of her grandfather, because she feels like, her grandfather kind of abandoned everything. Like, he wants to, like, doesn't want to be the hero he's supposed to be. Then fine, I'll be a hero of Northumbria. But once again, now she understands the weight of that, but she also understands so much more because she remembers what her grandfather told her all those years ago. She asked him what a hero was, and he was like, I don't know if I'm a hero. Because a thing is, and this is something her mom was trying to get across to her too, you didn't get here on your own. You're trying to be like a hero all on your own, and a hero isn't made alone. It's because of the people around them that a hero can exist in the first place. Her grandfather even going as far as saying like, I don't think I'm a hero. The fact of the matter is, I only got this far because of other people. Other people are all heroes deep down when they decide to kind of stand up and band together. And she thinks about her journey this entire series. It's like she did not make it alone. Like she didn't handle everything on her own. She always had help, people helping out, people making sacrifices for her to get her to where she is. And that's true for every hero in this series. You definitely know Reen would never Reen has always been about the term hero, but Reen would never be like, oh, it's just me. It's like he gets labeled as like, oh, like the hero, but it's like, yeah, I might be like the face because I'm the Ashen Chevalier, but I would never have made it this far without my friends. Like without the support of so many people, not just class 7, new and old. I mean, obviously at this point, just class 7, but it's like every ally they've ever made. I mean, Oliver, Nightheart, like anyone, like any instructor at the academy, like Sarah. I mean, she's just as much part of class 7, but I'm sure the same thing for the special support section. Lloyd would never say he did it on his own. Estelle, with the little Burl squad, would never say she did it on her own. Everyone had to help, and them together is what made them heroes, is that everyone has the capacity to be one, and they just have to band together, and that's what makes... He's not like Northumbria's hero. Vlad isn't. He's this village's hero because he came in when there was a drought, people were dying. He's the one that supplied them. He even had like a special kind of bunker installed and made with food supplies in case anything happened. This village cherishes him because he's their hero, because they all love and want to protect this village, and that's what's important. Banding together in that regard. And because of that, Lavi kind of found, I think, what she needed to kind of finally move forward, because she's been stuck for so long. Once again, the title of hero hanging over her head like that, her way of viewing her grandfather for so long, she's now able to see her. And he even says that line of, I don't know if I actually did a good job, because it's about us coming together, raising our children, doing the best that we can. But he's like, at the end of the day, I don't know if I did a good job, but I tried my best, essentially. And it's like, take pride in who you are. You are our precious grandchild. You're my precious grandchild. So it's kind of like, take pride in who you are and what that what Vlad stood for. Is that why did he, maybe even in the end, he still never fully understood why he made that sacrifice to take the fall on his sword when it came to Colonel Wallenstein's death. I think that is such an interesting thing, like how everyone, like, especially when you come from like a small village, you always see that love. Like you see that with like Laura, how everyone in Legram loves Laura, just like everyone loves Reen and Ymir. You always hold it like I'm sure the same thing could be said for Estelle too. It's just like, I'm not as well versed with like, obviously like Estelle, like the way, I think so. Like Estelle's kind of loved in that same regard, just like Cassius is. So it's kind of that thing of like, these families have such goodwill with the village, because it's like, yeah, we all come together, and and Lavi's kind of amongst that, in that same lane of like, hey, you're from a village that will always band together, and you're a hero in our eyes. Your family's a hero in our eyes because of what they do, what they've done. Like, they helped us when we were probably at our lowest, or when we kind of didn't have as much, and helped us kind of all band together. Once again, it's not just one individual. It is a collection of people that kind of, together we can be heroes type of thing, So I thought that was kind of an interesting and I think very important lesson that Lavi needed to kind of have, especially when she's kind of at her lowest after everything. Because once again, what was her issue? It's like she was trying to do so much on her own, not realizing, not paying attention to the fact is that like, you didn't do this on your own. Going alone isn't what makes a hero. Because I think I brought it up last episode, because I had because I was in the epilogue of Trails of Cold Steel 2 at the time, and I referenced Oliver's letter to Reen about, like, right, everyone has their doubts. No one's, like, sure of themselves, you know? Heroes are just people who have their own doubts and stuff like that. So she had her doubts and she kind of faced him down. And obviously, like, Isaria ended up showing up. I love that she was basically like, oh yeah, I got here because the TOCS sacrifice. Was like, what? She's like, what? Nothing. Never mind. I wondered, like, did she kind of throw him under the bus to get here type of situation? But either way, she got to see firsthand all the people that were, despite everything, we're still happy and together. It's like, oh man, it's, they're celebrating. It's like, hey, we're still here. We're still alive. So, like I said, taking pride in that, I think it's what Isaria kind of, not Isaria, but Lavi kind of walked away from with this episode. Lavi was out of commission for a week, so things have progressed even further while she's away. But she's steadfast in what she wants to do now. She's kind of made up her mind, and there's no changing it. But like I said, I think she's got a type of, what she's doing now is very different than what she, like when she first signed up for the Jaegers, she's not that same person. She has grown, she has learned, and now she's going off to face this situation a very different person than who she was before. So I think that's why things are going to be very different this time. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. I thought it was very beautiful and symbolic that obviously it's like she's thinking about when she was a kid running and seeing her grandpa in the distance, and this time like she turns around and sees her mom in the distance, especially because her mom had given her that like bandana around her neck. It's like, yeah, like I tied this around your grandfather, I tied it around your father, so it's only befitting that I give it to you as you kind of go off and do what you need to do. So I think that's beautiful. So I'm really interested to ultimately see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. I actually don't know how many episodes this is. I'd assume this is going to be like a one and done, and this is going to be like 12, maybe 13 episodes. I'm saying I haven't looked into anything, so I'm assuming there's only like 2, maybe 3 episodes left. So I'm curious to see what ends up happening next, and see. Obviously, I'll look into it later and see if that's actually the case. But I can only assume there's not much of this story left, because I'm sure we're getting to the. I wonder will they cover any of the aftermath stuff? Because once again, I know very little about Hajimari, because I've avoided any story stuff like crazy, because I'm waiting to play it myself. When Trails of Reverie, Hajimari's like translated title. Comes in the U.S., but that's not until like July. So, but I'm trying my best to avoid everything. So I don't. That's why I'm like, I know it deals with the cross spell stuff, the aftermath of the cross spell stuff. I don't know where Northumbria falls into that category. So that's why I'm curious. Like, is there any like, where will this end? Will this kind of end kind of like how the cross spell games end? And by that I mean like how the ending the cross spell arc basically kind of leans into, it's like the Arabonia arc. It's like, yeah, everything's kind of unresolved, and you get some conclusion in the Arabonia arc's conclusion, but it's more so like, I think Hajimari is going to be more so the conclusion for Hajimari / Trails into Reverie. It's going to be more so the conclusion for the cross spell arc. So I'm wondering how they'll handle that. Like I said, will there be like some future like kind of like cross spell, like, yeah, this isn't the end, like that this story will continue. Kind of even how the Arabonia arc ends, at least with 4, of like, see you again somewhere type of thing, So I'm really curious to see how that all ultimately ends up playing out. But like I said, that's really all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.